Hi everyone, thank you for the really immediate response to the first Alice Cooper studio album ranking. I had a lot of fun doing that one. That one was really easy for me. In this video we're going to go over the studio records for his solo career from 1975 to 1983. Now there are really two distinct periods. It starts off with what we now would call classic rock. It starts off with the sort of established template that Alice had done, the theatrical rock, and there's at least one concept album in there, and then toward the end he got sort of new wave, and it was different, and so I'm going to discuss the different aspects as we go. To me, there's something for everybody in this. There are some really criminally unknown albums in here that I'm going to talk about, and I'm hoping to introduce you guys to some music that if you haven't heard or aren't as familiar with, definitely check out. Always coffee time in my house. So, to start off, there are, I'm sorry I should have done this beforehand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 albums from 1975 to 1983. So coming in at number 8, this one I know a couple of friends of mine rate a lot higher. This is my least favorite of this period. It's always been in my bottom 2, but or 3 of this period. But I tried re-listening to it, and I listened to the whole thing. And it's so disjointed, there's so little continuity, and given the fact that its predecessor was a defining moment, not just for Alice, but in rock and roll, it's really hard to reconcile Alice Cooper Goes to Hell from 1976. The title track is iconic. He still uses it in stage shows to this day. Not every tour, but it's been a common theme from then until now. Guilty he's used a few times. Beyond that, I'm the Coolest is just kind of weird. It's humorous, but it's not that great. I Never Cry is the obligatory ballad, as he seemed to have a number of back in the mid to late 70s, and it's a pretty song. Yeah, beyond that, I'm just... if I pull out an album from this time period, this is my last resort, and only to do as I did last year, which is occasionally I go through and re-listen just to say, where do I stand on this? How do I feel? So, number 8, 1975 to 1983, Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. Number 7, which used to be just my absolute least favorite. I couldn't get into it because, you know, for me, Alice was $1 Billion Babies and Killer, and that was really the epitome of it. You know, the early 70s stuff. I could not wrap my head around Alice changing and doing new wave. And so Flush the Fashion 1980, it's a strange record. You can see he changed his look very radically starting with this one. And this is not an album for everybody. I do like the opening of Talk Talk. Once I got the box set, The Life and Crimes of Alice Cooper, it had Clones and Pain on it. And so I started listening to those. I thought, oh, maybe it's not so bad. But it took me 10 or 15 years to get back to this one. Aspirin Damages is an interesting one. Grim Facts, Nuclear Infected, Dance Yourself to Death. You know what? Like I say, this is not a hard rock album. It's not. It had some of the key players on it from previous years, but yeah, if I can find who's all on this one, I wish I could. But yeah, just kind of it's an interesting time capsule, a transition album, much better than I thought it was back in the day when I first got it as a teenager. But it's number 7, but I don't hate it. Alice Cooper Goes to Hell, I don't hate, but I just don't really like. There are only a handful of songs on there. This one, starting here, we're getting to 50% of the songs or more that I like, and by the end, of course, it's going to be the whole thing. Next, number 6, look at it. You see a lot of stickers. I got a lot of Alice Cooper albums at a place called Vinyl Solution in Grand Rapids on 28th Street. It's not there anymore. It hasn't been since late 90s, early 2000s. But, this was $2.99. That was $3.99. There are a bunch of others in my collection. You saw it yesterday. Again, these are going for a lot more now, so I'm glad I got these OG copies when I did. So, from the inside, 1978 chronicles Alice's stay when he initially got sober. Now, of course, he would fall off the wagon in the early 80s, have to go back, and his career got derailed for a few years. But he got together with Bernie Taupin, who was Elton John's famed co-writer. They put this album together. I believe Davy Johnstone from Elton's band is on here. And you open it up, and it's all the characters. And every song on here, Nurse Rosetta, Millie and Billy, For Veronica's Sake, Jackknife Johnny, they're all about people he met. This is kind of a fun one. The back opens up too. Title track, From the Inside, sort of almost a dance beat, but really good. I Wish I Were Born in Beverly Hills. I really appreciate the proper grammatical use there. The Quiet Room. Serious is a really good song. It's a hard-driving song. How You Gonna See Me Now? Alice wrote that for his wife Cheryl. They had only been together a few years, and she had only known the drinking Alice. She'd never known the clean or sober Alice, and so he was terrified. And it's actually a very beautiful song. So again, we're getting better as we go along here in my rankings. Again, not every song to me does it for me, but I can put this on, I can put this album on and be satisfied and happy and listen to this. Now we start getting into the stuff I really like, and it's kind of a toss-up between these two. I'm actually one of his, what he calls his blackout albums from the early 80s, because he fell off the wagon hard. And this one is called Zipper Catches Skin. It's 1982, his next to last one in this series. Again, definitely more new wave, modern sounding. These ones, the three that he did after Flush the Passion, really not hard rock albums at all, but there's some great music on here. Zorro's Ascent is funny. No Baloney, Homo Sapiens is entertaining. I Am the Future from the movie Class of '84. Tag Your It is actually goes back to Alice's love of horror films, sort of inspired by Jason, Freddy Krueger and whatnot. Yeah, so this one's really kind of interesting. I Better Be Good, Remarkably Insincere, which is a fantastic, witty, sarcastic song. Yeah, Alice was entertaining at this point. So I really liked that one a lot. Then we go back just a few years before that to number 4. This one was the follow-up to Alice Cooper Goes to Hell, and a lot of people may not remember it, but it's really good, called Lace and Whiskey. And it's a loose concept. It's kind of interesting. Alice plays the part of fictional detective on here. Damned If You Don't, It's Hot Tonight. That's a pretty hard rocking song. When I saw him in 2006, 7, 2007. That's actually what he was opening the show with, and that was a really great one. No More Love at Your Convenience, Road Rats, the obligatory love song You and Me, which I guess Frank Sinatra covered in concert sometimes, and Alice had the chance to meet Frank, and Mr. Sinatra said to him, "You keep writing them and I'll keep singing them, kid." He had no idea who Alice was. He didn't know anything about, the guillotines and all that stuff from years before. Then there's the Eubank Stump, which is not an Alice Cooper original. I believe it came from the 50s. Can't remember who did it originally, but as a tie-in to one of my absolute other favorite artists of all time, John Prine. Prine did a cover of the Eubank Stump just a couple of years later. So, again, solid record. A couple of minor hits on here. Unfortunately, these songs don't get played like they should in concert. I think that about most all of these albums, except for one of them, which you'll see and you'll say, "Oh yeah, a bunch of those." So then we go to 1981. I really like this album a lot, and this was when Alice was really he started to get back into substance abuse at this point. This is the first of the 3 Blackout albums. Occasionally, I think back in 04, 05, he did the loose title track, Who Do You Think We Are? I'm talking about Special Forces, and I know this one has been remastered in the last couple of years, as has Zipper Catches Skin, and these are worth searching out because they're post-punk, they're new wave, they're a little bit hard rock, not much, but Who Do You Think We Are is a militaristic song. Yeah, there you can see the logo that he was using at the time. He was really into reading a lot about the Special Forces, the Green Berets, all that stuff back then. Skeletons in the Closet, You're a Movie, You Want It, You Got It, Vicious Rumors. Hilarious one here called Prettiest Cop on the Block. Generation Landslide 81, they said was live, but from everything I've heard, that's actually just a superimposed audience sound on there. You Look Good in Rags, Don't Talk Old to Me. Yeah, so again, this is a really solid album. I like it quite a lot. I can put this whole album on and not be disappointed by a single track on here. This one, everybody would traditionally pick as number 1, but I'm going to pick as number 2 out of 8. Welcome to My Nightmare. I found a really nice copy a couple of years ago. I had a beat-up old copy that had a couple skips on it, so I definitely had to pick up a better copy after 20 years of having the old one. Welcome to My Nightmare, Devil's Food, The Black Widow, Some Folks, Only Women Bleed. That's just side 1. Side 2, Department of Youth, Cold Ethel, Years Ago, Stephen, The Awakening, Escape. Everybody, if you're watching this and you're an Alice Cooper fan, you know all these songs. Alice has played snippets of them. He's played the entire things. I don't think there's a song on here that he didn't play in concert at one point or another. And so definitely one of those, must-have albums in your collection. Iconic, absolutely iconic. This was a make it or break it. The original Alice Cooper band was frazzled. They were fried after making Muscle of Love. Alice set out on his own. He's always said to this day that there was no bad blood. There were no hard feelings. The band would reunite throughout the years, and we'll talk about that in the next couple of segments. But he did this on his own, and he got 2 fantastic Michigan guitar players, Dick Wagner from The Frost, and I don't know if Steve Hunter was originally from Michigan, but he got well known by playing with a lot of those guys. Had the chance to see Steve Hunter on tour with Alice in 2012. That was a privilege to see that show that night. Anyway, the rest of the band, I can't remember who's all on here, but this is Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yes, on the Black Widow, Vincent Price, horror master Vincent Price. How could I forget? So this brings together everything you want in an Alice Cooper album. If you're gonna in Alice's vast catalog, there are several go-to albums. If you're going to start, this is definitely one of them. And pardon me, I'm a little parched. My number one pick is probably not a lot of other people's number one pick. It might be my friend Kevin's, the one who I mentioned last time, and who told me, get cracking on these. I know he loves the 81 to 83 era as much as I do, maybe more. Both of us are in agreement that the songs from that time period need to be resurrected. I know Alice won't. He's stubborn. He doesn't have much recollection of them. If he were to go back and revisit them with an open mind, and his band, he has a band that's perfectly capable of playing all these great songs. Number one, DaDa or DaDa. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced. I never have been, so forgive me. It brought back together Steve Hunter. No, maybe. But I know Dick Wagner is on here. And Dick Wagner plays guitars, bass, and vocals. Alice does all the vocals. Bob Ezrin plays the keyboards, drums, percussion. So there's not a big band on here. And Alice was really in the throes of addiction at this point. He didn't tour behind this album. So the fact that it got really lost in the shuffle, music was changing in 1983. This is, to me, every bit as good as Welcome to My Nightmare. It has the opening creepy, not instrumental, but sound effects of DaDa. Enough's Enough. The frightening Formerly Warmer, about the crazy uncle everybody talks about. No Man's Land. Dyslexia. I love it. Scarlet and Shiva, a bit of historical drama, even, dare I say, a little romance in there. I don't know if it was meant to be, but I think so. I Love America, which is just a great satirical song. Fresh Blood, and then Alice's ultimate cry for help. It's a terrifying song, especially looking back, knowing where he was. It's called Pass the Gun Around. And that's, playing Russian roulette, figuratively, maybe literally, I don't know, but it was a terrifying time in Alice's life. He was skinny, he was not eating, he was drinking whiskey for breakfast, and he ended up in the hospital and just about dying. And so after this album, he sobered up. And thank God he did, because if he kept that lifestyle, he wouldn't have made it. And then there are, in the next two editions, we're going to mention some great records that he made. So, again, number 8, Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. Number 7, Flush the Fashion. Number 6, From the Inside. Number 5, Zipper Catches Skin. Number 4, Lace and Whiskey. Number 3, Special Forces. Number 2, the iconic Welcome to My Nightmare. And number 1, DaDa. And then there are 2 official live documents from that time period. Well, again, there are really 2 different periods encompassed in these years. So 1970, is this 7 or 8? I can't remember. 7 is the Alice Cooper Show. It's a good live album. I like it a lot more now than I used to. There's some great musicianship on here. So Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner are still with him at this point. And, this was not... some of it was recorded, from what I heard, during the Welcome to My Nightmare tour. Some of it was recorded a little later because the songs on here would indicate so, including I Never Cry. There's the back of it. It's a good album. It's kind of hard to find original copies of it, and even CD copies. I was fortunate. I I mentioned in many of my videos off the record here in my hometown of Grand Haven, my very dear friend John got a couple of copies of this in one time, and I was able to score one, which much appreciated. And then he was able to get this on a record store day. So this is an official release, but it's not generally for sale. You can find it. The scalpers who deserve to be scalped themselves on Discogs and eBay, they charge an arm and a leg for this. February 19th, 1982, at the end of the Special Forces tour, at the Apollo Theatre in Glasgow, Scotland. The Special Forces band, it's a 2-record set. Who Do You Think We Are? Model Citizen, Go to Hell, Guilty, I'm 18, Cold Ethel, Only Women Bleed, No More Mr. Nice Guy, Clones, Under My Wheels, I Never Cry, 7 and 7 Is, Grim Facts, Pain, $1 Billion Babies, Generation Landslide, and a very long, funked up version of School's Out, which was a lot of fun. At this point, yeah, he didn't have any of the 70s touring band with him anymore, which was too bad. That said, for as out of it as he claims to be, probably really was, this is a very coherent show. The sound on this is phenomenal. There have been CD bootlegs of it for years, but if you can, especially if you're a vinyl record fan, if you can score this version for a reasonable price, I can't recommend it highly enough. This is a lot of fun. This is a really good show. So, Alice Cooper, Special Forces at the Apollo in Glasgow, February 1982. This was the last tour he did until 1986. This is, I don't remember if this is the last show or one of the last shows he did, but he wasn't too much longer for the road for this one. So anyway, thank you so much for your attention and your comments and your interaction. I love doing these things. I have a great time. Please leave your comments below or get a hold of me on social media. Let me know what you think. If you've never heard of some of those, do yourself a favor, go and look them up. There is a lot of material there, and a lot of it is really, really good. So, thank you very much.